This episode contains mature language and situations. Listener discretion is advised. You wake to the sound of a train. The clack, clack, clack of wheels. In the distance, is that the sound of birds in a forest? No. It's angels in a choir. Or is it demons from hell? It doesn't matter. You have no memory of how you got here. All you know is that you're lost, and that now you belong to the Grey Rooms. Hello again, roomies. Welcome to episode 9. As we get ready for the next episode, first, I'd like to welcome LaQuin Groves to the cast. We are so excited to have him this season as the voice of Admiral Beckett. We love expanding the cast and getting to work with a lot of fresh new talent, and we think you'll really love them. But let's dive into this week's episode and join us as author Matthew Fowler tells us a story that will drain us bone dry. We'd like to remind everyone that submissions for all Grey Rooms production podcasts are open. This includes Season 5 of the Grey Rooms, Bane, Ghost Signal, your own featured Grey Rooms miniseries, and a new upcoming Grey Rooms production we like to call Fireside Nightmares. So, if you have any terrifying tales you think might frighten us, send them on over so we can take a stab at it. There will be a link in the show notes with more information on the process, what we're looking for, and how to submit. So without further ado, please enjoy Episode 9.
I had no real memory beyond awakening to the gentle swaying of the carriage. Other men would have been afraid. I was not. I was calm. I didn't know why I was there, but I knew what kind of man I was. I trusted my choices. I knew that. And my name. My name was Beckett.
Admiral David Beckett. A petty war criminal who became admiral via a self-appointed title. The flourish of a narcissistic, power-hungry dictator. You died, mourned by no one. A legendarily despotic emperor who held the 12 galaxies in his fist.
A recruiter.
Yes.
I could act as your recruiter. Give me a chance and I'll prove it to you. I've met some truly twisted mortals in my time in the rooms. Perfect candidates. Let me return to some of my loci. Talk to some of the damned. I was a leader. I can be again.
And if you fail?
If I fail, well, the warden here can do with me what he pleases.
Dad, they're back. Just a moment. 3, 2, 1.
Gentlemen, you're back. Come right in.
Boss, how in the heck do you do that?
Oh, you know me, John. I have my ways. Take a seat, please. How did it go?
God was with us, Master. Our assignment was a complete success. What is your will? What more may we do for you?
Grigori, your enthusiasm is impressive, but those of us with artistic minds and a mortal constitution need time to rest and recuperate.
Yeah, what Brand said. I don't have it in me for another trip like that anytime soon. I mean, you two mostly got to stand by and watch me do my thing.
I take exception to that, Warlock.
As do I. The Almighty invested me with great gifts, Jonathan. It was for a higher purpose, one I am pleased to carry out.
We work for the other side now, lover of the Russian queen. You, my cat, are really far gone.
Why do you insist on calling me that?
Enough. Brand, the situation was dealt with?
Yes, my plan worked perfectly. The demonic soldiers were dealt with. The scroll work I forged should prove enlightening when their master finds it among the dead. This Duke Mammon will be most displeased.
Good work. Very good work. No discipline problems this time, John?
Oof. You wound me, boss. What you call lack of discipline, I call feeling my oats.
He speaks the truth, Master. This time.
Good to hear.
Dad, the architect is heading this way. You've got a little time, but she does not seem happy.
Gentlemen, apologies. My infernal senses tell me my employer is on her way. As you may recall, she is not overly fond of mortals. Why don't you return to the barracks? We'll speak more this evening. You can consider yourselves on leave until further notice.
As you wish, Master.
Thank you, sir.
You got it, boss. Rasputin, the Russian queen. It was a cat who really was gone.
I mean, you were the one that wanted to be a leader again, Dad.
The next time I get a great idea like that, you have my permission to smack me.
You and I both know my ghost hands aren't gonna smack anything.
A fair point. Where is she now?
She's working her way up the tower the slow way. She looks really mad.
Any idea what's got her wings in a twist?
No. I've started getting a read off the mortals when I far see now, but the demons are still like blank walls.
All right. Might as well do some work while we're waiting. Bring up the map, son. Let's see where we are. Let's count their trip up to the fourth circle as a success, then. Go ahead and color that part of his territory green. Mammon and the other dukes will eventually figure out where the teams are coming from.
I feel like it's as much luck as planning. I know you like the group you've assembled here, but they're not exactly what I'd call subtle.
It's a fair point. Remind me to ask Todd to arrange another trip into the Lochi. Some of these new rooms they've arranged for the Silver Express have potential for recruitment.
I will. Let's see. I mean, Dad, based on everything we talked about from the beginning, we're there. If the Dukes of the 4th and 5th circles aren't at war within the next few weeks, I'm not sure what else we could have done to push them over the edge.
What about this fortress over here? Have we sent a team in there?
That's, Klonik's counting house. He's some kind of infernal accountant, I guess. One of Lucifer's favorites.
Dangerous to send a team, then.
What if you went yourself? Made it more about a conversation than the team normally likes to.
You're saying Brand's tendency to cut throats for paint supplies might not send the right message.
Probably not.
It's a good suggestion. In the meantime... Architect. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Mortal pablum. Meaningless words. I've had to put up with your respiration, your fluids, your oils all over everything. I am disgusted by your flesh sacks. I am done with you mortals.
I'm very sorry, Architect, about my oils. But is there something I can do for you?
There is a meeting of management assembling soon. We'll need you there, Admiral. Certain events have transpired that require an immediate response.
Movement from the other dukes? Are we on war footing?
No. Swovarike. Bob has escaped from the Grey Rooms. He was apparently assisted by Todd and an interloper from outside the walls. The warden was wounded in the escape. Apparently, quite badly.
Bob's escaped? How? I thought that was impossible.
It should have been impossible, Admiral. By all reasonable measures. By every known quantity in this realm or any other. What Bob has done should not have been possible. And yet, here I sit.
Holy shit.
Indeed. Now, if you'll accompany me downstairs, the founder will be joining us. We could use some of your vaunted mortal expertise to...
Hey there, boss. The guys and I were wondering if,
John, now is not the best time.
you must be the boss lady I've heard so much about. Hi. Nice to meet you. My name is...
The pleasure is all mine. You know what? I take it back, Admiral. Thank you for doing the work you do. That makes me feel much better.
Glad I could help.
We'll see you downstairs, then?
I'll be right down. Samuel, make a note that we'll need to go get a new John. Run far and run fast, Bob. And by the hells, I hope I don't have to chase you.
I can hear the weird rumble of sex again. Just what could my discreet neighbor be doing in there? That was the incessant question I demanded of every article in my room as my eyes flitted about in agitation. A true gentleman like myself would naturally find it disquieting to listen to all that wild fornication. The thin walls weren't made to mask the rapid sounds. When the new tenant moved in, I hadn't expected all this lurid nonsense. At first, she didn't seem to be such an unacceptable person. Oh, may I help you with that, miss?
No, I'm fine.
Honestly?
No, I got it. Thanks.
It's really no problem. Let me help you. It's quite a large box, isn't it? But not very heavy. I think I can manage. Neighbors never know when they will need each other.
I can't imagine needing you for anything. Sir, I hate to tell you, but I'll blast your ass with a lawsuit if you don't put the box down. I need you to put the box down. Now. And as you've got your lousy hands all over it, put it down gently and step away. No one touches that box but me. The contents happen to be fragile.
Sorry. I wasn't trying to upset you.
I know. You were just trying to be neighborly or nosy. I'm not really sure. Often they're the same thing. Time will decide.
I'm sure it will, miss.
Oh, I'm Ms. Jessamy Adjudel.
How do you do? I'm Elias Yerby.
Lived here long, Mr. Yerby?
Several years now. I hope we shall indeed be good neighbors.
That would be desirable.
Neighbors who have respect for one another's need for privacy. For solitude. Neighbors who are mindful enough to not make too much noise.
You seem to have some particular expectations, Mr. Yerby.
Nothing really out of the ordinary, Miss Adjudel. Just the kind of reasonable behavior one would expect of a new tenant in such a distinguished building, you see.
Distinguished, is it?
May I ask if you enjoy the company of frequent visitors, Miss Adjudel?
For a man who expounds his need for privacy, you sure do burrow into other people's.
Excuse me, Miss Adjudel, I didn't mean to assume.
I have a great need for company, Mr. Yerby. As great a need as you have for seclusion, it seems. I don't find it necessary to explain myself to you, but as long as I'm here, there will be acquaintances dropping in.
Acquaintances?
I'm a gregarious sort of citizen, if you will. I'm driven to reach out, to meet people, to gather them to me, so to speak. Yes, Mr. Yerby, I do enjoy my company.
That was months ago, and what I had to put up with. That troll of a landlord of mine, Conrad Cornelius Zone, was hardly sympathetic.
Mr. Yerby, I understand you have a complaint.
I wish you would serve that rude woman an eviction notice, Mr. Zone.
Not exactly a nice thing to wish upon one's neighbor, is it, Mr. Yerby? Besides, why should I? She's always paid her rent on time. Oh, not that it's any business of yours.
But she's such a nuisance, Mr. Zone.
Not to me, Mr. Yerby.
Now look here, Mr. Zone.
Bet she has tight thighs. Oh, thighs so tight a man would be unlikely to forget, and still sadly crave the long years after.
Mr. Zone, your mind is far from pure.
Never declared it was any better than the next. Now, Mr. Yerby, you're the only one in this building of mine who seems to have issues with her.
That's because I live next to her. I can hear every sordid thing that occurs.
Maybe you and I should swap apartments.
Don't be absurd, Mr. Zone.
Maybe you should get out more.
Why should I, when she parades the whole world past my door? Last night, I turned off my lights and watched through the curtains as Miss Adjudel entered this building, escorted by two men. The racket they made last night was unacceptable.
Was it?
I was suspect to an entire evening of deafening obscenities.
Well, if it was so bad, so disgusting as you make it out to be, why hasn't anyone else said anything about it?
Honestly, Mr. Zone, I don't know.
You say you watch them alone with your lights off?
Yes, I did.
Maybe that's the whole trouble. Maybe you should get someone to turn your lights on, if you get my drift.
If my landlord wouldn't intervene, what was I to do? Endure? I didn't really wish to call the police. I always prefer to handle these sorts of situations personally. I mean, it wasn't as if Miss Ajadel was noisy all the time. It was only a few episodes a month when she brought someone home with her. When I heard her door lock sharply, I knew I was in for a night of it. The next day, if I bumped into her, she would look well, essentially refreshed. Just as long as she left me alone, intact, in peace. That young lady with the glittering copper eyes was such a puzzle to me. For instance, when she brought people over, it was always with a fanfare. An announcement of her triumphant return. Yet I never saw anybody leave. Once, I asked Miss Tiptrunk about it. Ah, Miss Tiptrunk, good morning to you.
Morning, Mr. Yerby.
How are you and Mr. Tiptrunk?
Still contemplating divorce. You try living with someone with 6 fingers on a foot.
That's been going on for a year, hasn't it, Miss Tiptrunk?
A year and 2 months, Mr. Yerby. Yeah, about a year and 2 months. And we still can't decide who should wind up with the purple yabapoo.
What's that?
Forgot again, have you, Mr. Yerby? Well, I'm not wasting the breath in my abominably slimy lungs to remind you. Now what is it you want to know? The only time you ever talk to me is when you want to collect some dirt on someone.
My neighbor, Jessamy Ajadel.
That gorgeous bit of spitfire? What about her? Can't get an invitation into her pants, huh?
No. That's not it at all.
Well, what is it then?
Simply this. You live on the first floor, Miss Tiptrunk. You can see who comes in and out of this place, do you not?
I can.
Then, undoubtedly, you see Miss Ajadel leaving, only to come back a few hours later with a guest.
Sometimes I can't believe what I see. But I've seen them.
Well, Mrs. Tiptrunk, since she's been here, have you ever seen any of them leave?
No, I haven't. I see her arrive with people, but she always leaves alone.
Imagine that.
But if that's so, then Ms. Addersmell
It's Ajadel, Mrs. Tiptrunk.
must have an apartment cluttered with people. And that I can't believe.
Neither can I.
But I will confirm something I feel certain of. Somehow, I get the sense that woman is a taker, not a giver. I'd bet hard cash that she'd take everything a person could possibly offer, and more.
Then, one day, I had an opportunity to observe my neighbor in the privacy of her own apartment. When she arrived home that afternoon, Ms. Ajadel must have been preoccupied with something because she didn't lock her door, and it opened just enough for me to peek inside. At her feet was the box she had forbidden me to touch the day she moved in. Humming, Ms. Ajadel unpacked a dozen or more odd little figures. She arranged them on a high shelf, all facing out into the room. They did not make up a particularly cheerful collection, but looked like they were built to be ignored. Each sat, slouched, in a listless attitude. Suddenly I sneezed. Surprised, the last one dropped from her hand, bouncing once upon the floor, popping into dust. Ms. Ajadel turned towards me with her hostile copper eyes. I backed away, unnerved, as she started marching to the door.
Go get your own, you obnoxious old creep!
That was definitely that. A few weeks later, I had the displeasure of encountering Ms. Edgedale walking down the hall, arm in arm with a
You
woman.
can make it.
The displeasure came when my neighbor got close enough for me to look at her in the face.
Oh, you smell so good.
Her copper eyes were dull. The skin over one of her thigh cheekbones looked like it was slightly leaking.
Well, as I live and breathe.
Who's this, Jess?
This is my distinguished neighbor, Mr. Elias Yerby. And this luscious woman is, well, may I present the sexy, curvaceous, what's your name again, honey?
I'm Anwen, babe. Better not forget it.
Mr. Yerby, may I present the lovely Anwen?
Hey there. Hey, how many sips did I have?
How do you like those waves of red hair she has, Mr. Yerby? So thick and shiny. Makes you want to sweetly caress it all day, doesn't it?
Well, I really can't say.
Put you right on the spot there, didn't I? Now, tell me, Anwen, dear. At first glance, what do you think of him?
He looks sad. I don't like him. Say, is this guy capable of speaking when spoken to, or did some retired envelope licker borrow his tongue? I said, hey there.
I can offer salutations. Hello, young lady.
Jess, he called me a young lady.
Want me to sink down into his ear and whisper your age?
Better agree to keep quiet or you'll get no attention tonight.
And I so desperately need attention.
Have you known Miss Edgedale long?
Only met her a few hours ago.
Let's not waste any more of our precious time. He just wants to know my business, never lets up. Now move along. We've got a great, glorious night of lovemaking ahead of us.
Know how to spread butter on a brisket, baby?
Oh, I'm so fortunate. Another night of penetrating fireworks. That night, however, proved to be anything but. At first, through the walls, I heard the usual suggestive chatter and laughter. But then, all at once, there was an abrupt crash and the sound of someone wailing. It led me to think maybe Anwen had toppled Jessamy's special shelf of mysterious figures on the floor. Subsequently, things became quiet. Too quiet. And I heard what sounded like a consistent beat of some kind, rising in pitch. It was a word, repeated.
No. No, I said no. Come over here. I can't take you around. I said get over here and stand still. Now! No!
Briefly, there was a horrid pounding on my wall, and then what I thought a frantic scratching, as if someone were trying to tear their way into my room.
Don't touch me!
Then, a dead silence. I was so frozen with fear I couldn't react right away. When I snapped out of it, I went into the hall and knocked on Miss Edgedale's door. Miss Edgedale? Is everything all right in there?
Yes? What is it, Mr. Yerby?
Her copper eyes were glittering once again. The flash over her cheek was as firm as ever. Just wanted to know if you were all right. I heard something.
Mr. Yerby, I couldn't be better if I was told to be. Good night.
Alert, I watched, waited, and I swear Anwen never left. After that, I didn't see my neighbor for some time. Everything became so quiet, it seemed as if Miss Edgedale had been completely obliterated from the earth. Then one day I heard her thundering fast from her apartment to be absent for hours. It was late afternoon as I was going out, and I saw Ms. Agidel had returned, unaccompanied, back to her apartment. The poor damn creature looked awful. She lurched along like her swollen legs were cast iron. She was pale, worried, and walked by me as if I wasn't there. When she got to her door, Miss Agidel pressed her hand against the paddling, trying, perhaps, to reassure herself that it was where it was, and that it wasn't where she thought it to be. When she couldn't find her key, she became even more concerned. Her hands fluttered about as her search became frantic. At last, Miss Agidel stamped her foot in frustration. Your key might be in your handbag.
Oh, of course it is. I've never felt so ridiculous.
The only thing I heard through the walls that night was weeping. A disgusted weeping.
Oh, it's been so easy. It should have been so easy.
The next evening, I heard Miss Agidel leave her apartment. I poked my head out my door and saw her walking with a limp. Also, unless I was crazy, her right arm seemed to swing every which way, tracing impossible arcs, as if barely attached to her body. Her clothing, which had always draped her body gracefully and precisely, hung askew. The rasp of her breathing echoed in the stifled air. Why was she going out in such an extraordinary state, unless for some reason it was absolutely necessary?
Gotta find somebody. Must find somebody.
It wasn't too long before she returned. I spied from around my door her escorting a middle-aged, inebriated, and confused fellow. The effort she made to force him along betrayed a great amount of pain.
Come on. Down this way.
What'd you say your name was?
Damn it, I told you already. Call me Jess.
Oh, I'm Eddie. Or Teddy. Where are we going, Jess?
I told you we're going to my place.
Do I want to go to your place?
Whether you do or don't, you're going.
Hey, quit shoving me. Does my mother know where I am?
Soon you won't remember if you had a mother.
I love my mother. I love her all to pieces.
And you're gonna love me before I go all to pieces.
I can't stay. I don't like my mother being alone for long. She's old.
You're never gonna get any older.
The aforementioned Eddie stopped dead still on her welcome mat.
Hey, what do you mean by that?
Nothing.
No, really, what did you mean by that?
Don't you trust me, Eddie?
I want to live a long life.
Everybody does now. Get in there.
Hey, I hate you shoving me around. And why do you want me to get in there so badly, huh? Gosh, is that what you really look like? Boy, lady, you are one nasty batch of blueberries. So bloated. Oh, the way you stink. I hate it when I sober up. They always look so awful. The miserable girls, I mean. They look like they never had half a chance in this loud, lousy world. Oh, phew, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get some air.
No, you sick fucking bastard! Get back here!
Defeated, Ms. Agidel collapsed against her door and stumbled inside. I wasn't on the best of terms with her, but at that moment I felt sorry. I closed my door, stunned by her desperation. Then, I heard tapping against my wall.
Mr. Yerby? Mr. Yerby! I know I've never been a good neighbor. I know I haven't always been at my best around you. But please, Mr. Yerby, could you come over? I can't be alone anymore. I can't. Please, I need you, Mr. Yerby. Please.
I closed my door, stunned by her desperation. Then, I heard tapping against my wall. She sounded so pitiful. Perhaps that is why I did it. Against my better judgment, I did it. Her door unlocked. I found her sitting on the box, slumped over, her head in her cracked hands. I couldn't remember ever seeing a more sorry sight. Her whole body quivered. Above was the long shelf upon which she sat, those curious little figures. He stood, greatly perplexed before her. She looked up at me, her copper eyes now filmed over. Ms. Ajadel? I am here.
Hello. I've never heard your voice sound so kind.
Ms. Ajadel,
Let's have you call me Jessamy.
All right, Jessamy. How can I help you? Tell me how I can help you. She sat up. I stared, unbelieving, sickened as the pale flesh on the one side of her face collapsed its sodden folds and slid off entirely.
How can you help me, Elias? You're already helping me.
With what must have been the last shard of strength, Jessamy leapt up, wrapping her splintered arms around me. I couldn't rip her away. She clung desperately, crying. I held her tight and my body tingled everywhere. The harder we embraced, a barrier within me dropped. Huffing ecstatically, I sensed myself seep towards her. With a great sucking pull, my vitality was rushing into a demanding vacuum, erecting within her crushed structure, softening once more the coarse fabrics of her skin. My mind suddenly surfaced from the giddy pleasure in which it reeled, and, to my horror, I realized my body was deteriorating, diminishing. As I was gradually drained, I felt the muscles of my frame deflating, my hide crinkling. My very life force was being seized from each violated cell to aid in her restoration. I knew I didn't have long to ask. When would that be? My very life force was being seized from each violated cell to aid her restoration. I knew I didn't have long to ask. When would that be? The very little that is left of me sits on the shelf now. My legs dangle off the edge like the others as we stare forever out into what we call the Withering room. We call it that because of what she's done to us and what she will do to others. I must be no more than 4 or 5 inches high. We are all ash-grey, insanely wizened things, her morbid trophies. We try to be silent. Jessamy doesn't like to be disturbed by the odd squeaks that we make. She gets so very angry. Once she squeezed a female that was a bit too boisterous, until the pressure made her burst. I believe it had red hair. Then, a male raised its minute fists, cursing her. Shoved in her mouth hole, he was chewed and spat upon the carpet. The stain reminds us to be quiet, to stay still.
Come along, my lucky little man. It's time for something good.
Jessamy treats me a bit better than the rest. She seems to want me to last, however long that will be. Without warning, we disintegrate. Her titanic hand reaches up and pulls me down. She sits at a table, resting me on her lap, fingers around my waist.
Okay, my good sir. Now, open that mouth.
She stirs a bowl of tepid soup she thinks I love so much. Cooing, Jessamy thrusts forward a dripping spoon towards my puckered lips. It looks more like a lake at the end of a great metal arm. Last time she knocked in a tooth. God, I don't want to lose another.
The Withering Room, written by Matthew Fowler, with performances by Nathan Blades as Elias, Erin Lillis as Jessamy, Joe Stofko as Zone, Margaret Ashley as Tiptrunk, Christa Lewis as Anwen, and Graham Rowat as Eddie. The Recruiter, written by Michael Zenke, featuring performances by Michael Turrentine as Samuel, Justin McElroy as John, Alistair Mackey as Rasputin, Graham Rowat as Brand, Margaret Ashley as the Architect, and introducing LaQuin Groves as Admiral David Beckett. Musical composition was by J.M. Scherf. Episode artwork, web development, and creative direction by Cassie Perteet. Social media and Patreon management by Brooks Bigley. Videography is by Hale Scherf. Community management by Tori Miller. Audio engineering and sound design was by me, Jason Wilson. Well, I guess sometimes neighbors want to borrow more than a cup of sugar, whether or not you like Jessamy. She had class. See what I did there? Wither or not? Never mind. The Grey Rooms is moving full steam ahead with plenty more terror to deliver unsuspecting souls. The Grey Rooms management would like to invite all of you to join us on board our crazy train as it barrels through hell. We would like to take this time to thank our patrons once again and to any of those who have taken the time to leave us a 5-star rating and a review. Those reviews keep us at the top of the charts and makes it easier for more twisted souls to find the show. Patrons like Ellen Houghton, Eric Pritchard, Eric Phones, Jackalbot Snows, Lynn Browning, Matthew Smithdeal, Patrick Stewart, Ronan Kumori, Sean Gary, Jeffrey McAvoy, Don Williams, Justin Dahl, and Mary Rates. You can also find the Grey Rooms on Spotify, iTunes, or your favorite podcatcher. We're also now available on iHeartRadio's Spreaker app. Just download the iHeart Spreaker app or open the browser and search the Grey Rooms. And we here at the Grey Rooms love our fans and want to give back to you in the best way we know how. Whether it's a space to connect or exciting surprises in the form of a one-of-a-kind loot box, we want you, the fans, to get the best the Grey Rooms can offer. And you can find out more by joining us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, and Facebook. And we took your advice and extended an olive branch to all of the tortured souls who have passed through the rooms. Our emotional support group is always looking to help you with all of your needs. And let's not forget about our merch store. It's full of epic designs and logos for you to sport, showing the world you are a survivor of these very rooms. All of this can be found in the show notes or on our website at thegrayrooms.com. And have you checked out our Discord server? If you only listen to the podcast, you're only getting half the experience. Join for free to hang out with the Grey Rooms cast and crew, watch movies, listen to music, or learn to write your very own horror story. Our community grows daily, and you can meet and interact with like-minded fans from all over the world. Our top-tier patrons are able to stop by and wash their hands with our scented soaps in the exclusive Board of Directors bathroom. And who would want to miss out on that? Which is why you should not miss out on what is offered over at our Discord channel. But this is only episode 9, and you know we have a lot more to work on. So with that, a ton of sweat, blood, and tears lies ahead. So we're going to go ahead and jump right back on and get this rolling. That's another, because trains roll. Yeah, I'm on it today, aren't I? Anyways, going to get back to work. Thanks ever so much for your support and for giving us your time. We greatly appreciate it, and we can't wait to deliver more for you. So till next time, thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
This has been a Grey Rooms production. Copyright 2021 and 2022.